What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Contemporary Comrades podcast. It's your boy Heavy J here. Before I even start going into anything, man, I want to say this video was recorded on January 1st, 2021. So I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. Hopefully we make some better shit out of this year than we did last year, man. But the way shit's looking, we probably won't. Anyway, just take care of yourselves and your families and make sure you're eating good and keeping your immune system tight. You know what I'm saying? And keeping on the prowl. But anyway, this video I wanted to make tonight, I think is kind of important. So what I'm going to go into is essentially my theory on the basis of the COVID vaccine. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to show you a few articles here. Now, of course, this is much more research than this, but this is just, I want to make this kind of short, but I wanted to kind of to brief people on the science behind the COVID vaccine and also sort of what sort of technologies are already in play, and sort of like a 5-year timeline for how they've advanced to where we are now. And of course, the timeline goes much deeper. There's much more information to be found, but like I said, I just wanted to make this a little bit of a nugget for you all, so you can go ahead and follow the crumb trail and look into the shit yourself some more. So this technology is called CRISPR. It stands for some really weird shit that makes no sense, but basically it's like it's gene editing via RNA. All right, so let's read what Science Mag says CRISPR is. Now, this was written in 2015, 2014, just based on the verbiage you can see. This is old. And there's other news down here that's also old. So we'll read what CRISPR is. So we'll read what John Cohen says. So he says, biologists continue to hone their tools for deleting, replacing, or otherwise editing DNA, and a strategy called CRISPR has become one of the most popular ways to do genome engineering. So it says, utilizing a modified bacterial protein and an RNA that guides it to a specific DNA sequence, the CRISPR system provides unprecedented control over genes in many aspects, including perhaps humans. This control has allowed many new types of experiments, but also raised questions about what CRISPR can enable. So it says here, at least one group has already used CRISPR on human embryos, sparking calls for a moratorium on similar work and an international summit at the end of 2015 to discuss the science and ethics of human gene editing. So if you all were worried about this technology, the ethics and science was discussed on an international level for this technology just at this point 5.5 years ago, 6 years ago, right? So it says, meanwhile, CRISPR is making it much easier to generate genetically modified animals and plants, creating new regulatory issues that scientists, agencies, politicians, and ultimately society must address. So that's a brief background on this CRISPR technology, right? So, all right, so what's everybody's main concern with this vaccine? Everybody's main concern is that you'll either get some sort of crazy side effect. You might, we can go over the list of side effects. You just listen to any one of our other videos. But for the sake of this one, you've got the inability to reproduce for both male and female, which has been researched and actually become a scientific thing. You've got the possibility of Bell's palsy. You've got the possibility of all these flu-like symptoms. You've got, oh my gosh, there's I think I've seen things talk of potential organ damage. There's people who've died within hours after getting the vaccine, but all these things are sort of still under investigation. But these are just initial reports of things going on. Because remember, this has only really been out, about a month or less on the public. So we're at the very, 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 very early stages of what we might potentially see from these vaccines, and it's already not looking too good. So now, your friend's Facebook has these things called fact checkers, right? So you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna go over to the Associated Press here, and we're gonna look at what these fact checkers might say if you say something along the lines of, oh no, let's read this claim. So They say so. This is an Associated Press assessment on a unsubstantiated claim, thus presenting the quote unquote facts of said claim. So, and again, these facts, quote unquote, are presented by your Facebook fact checkers. Okay. So the claim is that the new vaccine for COVID-19 will be the first of its kind ever. Yes. It will even be an mRNA vaccine, which will literally alter your DNA. It will wrap itself into your system. You essentially become a genetically modified human being. So that's the claim that they are assessing and presenting quote unquote facts towards. So AP's assessment is false. Experts say mRNA vaccines do not alter your DNA. So very vague claim. So they say here are the facts. As researchers work to test vaccines to stop the spread of COVID-19, social media posts are spreading misinformation to sow doubt even before they become available to the public. Let's go to what their fact checker doctor says. So this guy is Dr. Dan Culver, a pulmonologist at Cleveland Clinic. So he says mRNA vaccines work by introducing a messenger RNA molecule into your body, which causes cells to produce a protein that resembles one of the viral proteins that make up COVID. So that's what Brent R. Stockwell, a Columbia University biology and chemistry professor, said. So that sounds awful lot like what we looked right here, utilizing a modified bacterial protein and RNA that guides it to a specific DNA sequence. Is that not the same technology? Could you not have this messenger RNA guide it to some other sequence? Because if you're guiding things to sequences, you're not actually piercing the cell and modifying the DNA specifically. You are giving it different instructions to then create a different type of itself. You're not actually going in and modifying the DNA. That's where they're trying to get people caught up at. That, in my opinion, that's where their loophole is for this type of shit. So it says here, your immune cells then recognize this viral protein and generate an immune response against it, primarily by generating antibodies that recognize the viral protein. So it says here, while there are other concerns with mRNA vaccines, such as degree and length of protection and possible side effects, Stockwell said modifying DNA is not one of them. So you're telling me that... All right, let me keep reading. So Dr. Dan Culver, who I talked about earlier, the pulmonologist at Cleveland Clinic, agreed that it's not possible for an mRNA vaccine to alter your DNA. He says this cannot change your genetic makeup. The time that this RNA survives in the cells is relatively brief in the span of hours. What you are really doing is sticking a recipe card into the cell-making protein for a few hours. Not only am I about to potentially debunk that statement, I'm also about to about to show a article from another doctor who says that there are things that actually don't stop lingering in your body from this vaccine. So we've got the origin of CRISPR, which I read from here, and we've got what basically experts are saying COVID does not do. And this is the narrative that's pushed, right? This is what they're fact checking your post against, right? So let's go and see what Bill Gates has to say about CRISPR. So this was written in by Bill Gates for foreignaffairs.com in May/June 2018. So I'm not going to read the whole article because he goes into a little bit of backstory about the history of his reasonings for backing and supporting CRISPR, because we know what Bill Gates is about, man, and CRISPR is probably this dude's wet dream. So he goes in to say essentially, people are living healthy, productive lives more than ever. This might be good news, but there's plenty of evidence, yada yada. He goes into there have been massive reductions in cases of TB, malaria, HIV. Polio has decreased by 99%. bringing the world to the verge of eradicating a major infectious disease. Then he goes into the world's population being in extreme, basically a third of the world's population being in extreme poverty and all this other thing. Basically saying that it went from 35% to about 11%. Anyways, he's prefacing his work. He's prefacing by saying basically, 5 million children under the age of 5 will have died, mostly in poor countries and mostly from preventable causes. Saying that, all these reasons why we need gene modification. We have all these people dying, right? This is how they justify everything. We have all these people dying. We have all this poverty. We have all the, we've made great strides in almost eradicating infectious diseases. And basically he's saying here, some of the remaining suffering can be eased by continuing to fund the development, assistance programs, and multilateral partnerships that are known to work. So he's saying these efforts can help sustain progress, especially as the world gets better at using data to help help guide the allocation of resources. And he says, but ultimately, eliminating the most persistent diseases and causes of poverty will require scientific discovery and technological innovations. So he's saying these problems that we have created can only be solved by scientific discovery and technological innovations. Because remember, he's in cahoots with the people who have created these problems that he's mentioning need to be solved. Right. Let's not forget that. So he says here, that includes CRISPR and other technologies for targeted gene editing. Over the next decade, gene editing could help humanity overcome some sort of the biggest and most pertinent challenges in global health and development. The technology is making it much easier for scientists to discover better diagnostics, treatments, and other tools to fight diseases that still kill and disable millions of people every year, primarily the poor. It is also accelerating research that could help end extreme poverty by enabling millions of farmers in the developing world to grow crops and raise livestock that are more productive, more nutritious, and hardier. New technologies are often met with skepticism, but if the world is to continue the remarkable progress of the past few decades, it is vital that scientists subject to safety and ethics guidelines be encouraged to continue taking advantage of such promising tools as CRISPR. So basically, this article, he goes into how CRISPR is used in the productivity of crops and in the farming industry, so with livestock, etc. So they basically have tested this on livestock first, and this was in 2018. It is being used in livestock. You see here, these are genetically modified mosquitoes from Brazil in 2016. So basically he's saying, and even this is from Bill Gates right here, such alterations of the genomes of plants and even animals are not new. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years through selective breeding. Fair enough. Scientists began recombining DNA molecules in the early 70s, and today genetic engineering is widely used in agriculture and in medicine, the latter to mass produce human insulin, hormones, vaccines. Oh, wait, what did he just say? Genetic engineering is widely used in agriculture and medicine, the latter to mass produce human insulin, hormones, vaccines, and many drugs. So they said here, your genes couldn't be edited from the COVID vaccine. But Bill Gates in 2018 is saying that's how we're going to revolutionize and have revolutionized vaccines. Oh, okay, let's keep reading. Gene editing is different than that. It does not produce transgenic plants or animals, meaning it does not involve combining DNA from different organisms. With CRISPR, enzymes are used to target and delete a section of DNA or alter it in other ways that result in favorable or useful traits. Most importantly, it makes the discovery and development of innovations much faster and more precise. And he talks about ending malaria. The benefits of modern technology should not be reserved only for people in developed countries, yada, yada. This Bill Gates is going on about CRISPR, all right? So we've got this here in 2018 basically saying that we can use this technology to modify anything from mosquitoes to vaccines in people, right? This is 2018. Let's go to March of 2020 from CBS News. Gene editing tool CRISPR used inside a human's body for the first time, scientists say. Oh, this is March 5th. When did the pandemic start? Was that the second week of March? And this was the first week of March? So the United States locked down. Well, the pandemic started in the United States in around the first or second week of March, right? I think it was right March 13th or something. So we got an article here March 5th saying that a gene editing tool, CRISPR, has finally been used inside humans' bodies for the first time. Huh. That's interesting. So this was, of course, in the United States. So scientists say they have used the gene editing tool CRISPR inside someone's body for the first time, offering a new frontier for efforts to operate on DNA, the chemical code of life, to treat diseases. So a patient recently had it done at the Casey Eye Institute at Oregon Health and Science University in Poland for an inherited form of blindness, according to the companies that make the treatment. The company would not give details on the patient when the surgery occurred. And they say it may take up to a month to see if it worked to restore the patient's vision. If the first few attempts seem safe, doctors plan to test it on 18 children and adults. So they say, so Dr. Jason Commander here says, we literally have the potential to take people who are essentially blind and make them see. So when you think that, so in our last live stream, it's titled it talked about the Internet of Bodies. So go check out our last live stream if you haven't. It's mentioned the Internet of Bodies and some other stuff in it. We mentioned the fact that we are moving away from nature, and I talk about this all the time. We are one of the end goals here is to move humans as far away from nature as possible. That's why we have the Internet of Bodies and all these and the Great Reset. We're going to be eating lab-grown meat, et cetera, et cetera. All the stuff we've been talking about, right? He said we literally have the potential to take people who are essentially blind and make them see. If that is not playing God, then what is? We are gone. We are anyway. I'm gonna keep reading, man. I'm gonna hold my commentary till later. So Charles Albright, chief scientific officer at Editas Medicine, the Cambridge, Massachusetts company. Editas Medicine, the Cambridge, Massachusetts company, developing treatment with Dublin-based allergen, told the Associated Press, we think it could open up a whole new set of medicines to go in and change your DNA. I'll bet you do think that. Dr. Jason Commander, an eye surgeon at Massachusetts Eye and Ear in Boston, another hospital that plans to enroll patients in the study, told the AP that it marks a new era in medicine using a technology that makes editing DNA much easier and much more effective. Oh. Doctors first tried in-the-body gene editing in 2017 for a different inherited disease using a tool called zinc fingers. So many scientists believe CRISPR is a much easier tool for locating and cutting DNA at a specific spot. So interest in the new research is very high. Essentially, they go in a little bit about some other things that they've tried to treat with the gene modification here. So it says here, Here's one difference. So it says here, once the cell is edited, it's permanent, and that cell will persist hopefully for the life of the patient. Because these cells don't divide, one study leader not involved in the first case, Dr. Eric Pierce at Massachusetts Eye and Ear told the AP. So doctors think they need to fix 1/10 to 1/3 of the cells to restore vision. So interesting. Interesting. Very interesting stuff. So this is an example of the technology being used for what they intended originally, or at least what is mentioned, which is literally the permanent editing of specific cells to cure specific things. Whereas the method, as you read earlier, the method in which this works is via the mRNA sending messages to the proteins that then create the cells. That very thing is how the COVID-19 vaccine works. So we've got this here, right? And let's go on one more article. So we're going to read a little bit more from Bill Gates. This is an article basically saying what's not being said about the Pfizer vaccine specifically. Human guinea pigs. Now there was a video by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. basically saying how animal test how Dr. Fauci had bypassed animal testing on this particular vaccine. Well, he had allowed bypassing of it and went straight to human trials, no animal trials, before releasing it onto the public about a month ago. So it starts out here. Bill Gates is actively financing and promoting new untested vaccines supposed to keep us at least somewhat safe from a ghastly death from the novel coronavirus and supposedly allow us to resume somewhat normal lives. The pharma giant Pfizer has now announced what they claim were spectacular results in initial human tests. They use an experimental technology known as gene editing, specifically mRNA gene editing, something never before used in vaccines. Before we rush to get jabbed in hopes of some immunity, we should know more about the radical experimental technology and its lack of precision. Interesting. So it says here, the financial world went ballistic on November 9th when the pharma giant Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech announced in a company press release that they had developed a vaccine for COVID that was 90% effective. So you're telling me this guy right here, Pfizer's CEO, cashed out 60% of his stock on the same day as the company unveiled the results of his COVID-19 vaccine trial. This guy. So he came out and said, we've got a 90% effective vaccine, but then on the same day, sold almost 2/3 of his stock in his own company. And the vaccine announcement sent their shares soaring almost 15%. So why would you do that? That's an automatic 15% return on your investment, and you're selling. So is he saying that's as good as it's going to get? Or is he saying that let me get out before it gets real bad? Or is he saying, oh, let me free up some shares for the people? I don't know I don't think that's how it's going to work. So that guy, essentially, so it says. So it says here that that CEO Borla lied and denied to the press that his company had received any funds from the Trump administration to develop the vaccine when it came out. They contradicted that in summer to deliver 100 million doses to the U.S. government. Further adding to the suspect actions of Pfizer was the fact that the company first informed the team of Joe Biden rather than the relevant U.S. government parties about the vaccine. So this is far from the only thing alarming about the much hyped Pfizer announcement, is what it says here. We'll talk about it's got some more, it's got the human guinea pigs part here talking about here we go. We'll read this. So this experimental technology is based on a rather new gene manipulation known as gene editing. In a major article in the 2018 New York Council on Foreign Relations magazine, Foreign Affairs. Oh, did I just read that article? I sure did. Bill Gates effusively promoted the novel gene editing CRISPR technology as being able to transform global development. And so, by the way, so he noted that his Gates Foundation had been financing gene editing developments for vaccines and other applications for a decade. So it says, but is the technology for breaking and splicing of human genes so absolutely safe that it is worth risking on a novel experimental vaccine never before used on humans? Bill Gates says yes. The Associated Press says yes. I personally say no. So now we're going to go to another article here called Hazards of the COVID-19 Vaccine. This was written by retired Professor Romeo Quijano in the Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology from the College of Medicine at the University of Philippines in Manila. And I'm only going to read one particular part here, a couple of particular parts, and he dives into it a little bit more on this technology. So he says here, the fact that an entirely new RNA vaccine technology, which has never been used before in humans, is a danger signal that should not be ignored. Several of the U.S. candidates, Moderna, Pfizer/BioNTech, and Arcturus Therapeutics, are using this never-before-approved technology. So exogenous mRNA is inherently immunostimulatory, and this feature of mRNA could be beneficial or detrimental. So it may provide adjuvant activity, and it may inhibit antigen expression and negatively affect the immune response. So it says here, the paradoxical effects of innate immune sensing on different formats of mRNA vaccines are incompletely understood. You don't say. So it says, potential safety concerns include local and systemic inflammation, biodistribution and persistence of expressed immunogen, stimulation of autoreactive antibodies, and potential toxic effects of non-native nucleotides and delivery system components. So an mRNA-based vaccine could also induce potent type 1 interferon responses, which have been associated with not only with inflammation, but potentially autoimmunity. Oh. Another potential safety issue could derive from the extracellular RNA, which has been shown to increase the permeability of tightly packed endothelial cells and may promote blood coagulation and pathological thrombus formation. Dude, his vocab is great. Anyway, so he says here, another danger of mRNA vaccines is the use of biotech carrier systems, quote unquote, involving lipid nanoparticles, or LNPs. So lipid nanoparticles encapsulate the mRNA constructs to protect them from degradation and promote cellular uptake. So basically, it encaptures the mRNA construct in the vaccine and protects it from basically wiping out, and it promotes the uptake of that into the cell. And additionally, it revs up the immune system. So the LNP formulations in the 3 mRNA COVID vaccines are pegylated. So capital PEG, pegylated, meaning that the vaccine nanoparticles are coated with a synthetic, non-biodegradable, and increasingly controversial polymer called polyethylene glycol. I think you all have heard of that. Or at least I hope. LNPs could contribute to one or more of the following: immune reactions, which we're hearing about people getting allergic reactions to the vaccine, so that could be a reason. Infusion reactions, complement reactions, opsonation reactions, antibody reactions, or reactions to the PEG from some lipids or PEG otherwise associated with the LNP, as well as adverse reaction within liver pathways or degradation of the mRNA or the LNP, any of which could lead to significant adverse effects. Furthermore, PEG can also provoke serious neuropsychiatric symptoms in offsprings, including mood swings, rage, phobias, and paranoia. Investigators who once assumed that the polymer was largely inert are now questioning its biocompatibility and warning about pegylated particles' promotion of tumor growth and adverse immune responses that include probably underdiagnosed life-threatening anaphylaxis. This is basically says here, this is a significant concern since a 2016 U.S. study reported detectable and sometimes high levels of anti-PEG antibodies. So I just wanted to read a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? So what does this all mean, right? So we've looked here. So we've said that basically we went over what CRISPR was. We said what your Facebook fact checkers said it can do, and then we went and looked at what it can actually do by the people who have developed it, studied it, researched it, and are trying to implement it. So to me, this CRISPR technology is going to basically using this technology, albeit dumbed down via the COVID vaccine, can open up a whole new world to actually modifying your genetics, because again, this vaccine is sending a message. So the question could be, so you could ask yourself a couple of questions. What is that going to do, other than what the doctor said here, which I just read, which was it can cause horrible autoimmune responses, all these different kinds of immune responses. I just read it. The list goes on and on and on. And those are just some compounds that are used in the vaccine to stop it from degrading and allow it to be accepted into the cell. So we've got to use a synthetic, non-biodegradable, polymer to get your body to accept the vaccine and to get it to not break down by the body. Now, if that doesn't tell you that your body doesn't like this, I don't know what does. You have to cover it with a synthetic polymer to say, here, body, accept this cell as one of your own, because we know it's not, and we know you're not going to like it. So we're going to have to cover it in this artificial polymer so that you can accept it. And that's what you're putting in your body. So I ask you again, please do your research before you think about going and taking this vaccine. I'm not telling you one way or another. I'm not saying one way or another what's happening. I have my opinion. You all know my opinion. You all know Corn's opinion. I just wanted to really put this together, man, and just to say, hey, let's look how easy this research is, right? Look how easy this is. You go and you look up, okay, what's in the vaccine? Okay, and then you say, oh, it's some mRNA modifier. Go Google mRNA modifier. What do you find? CRISPR. Oh, CRISPR, what's that? Go Google CRISPR. Oh, Bill Gates wrote about it? Okay. Let's Google some more. Oh, there's some other scientists who said they don't like it. Oh, let's see what they're saying. It's not hard, folks. It's not hard. Please stop looking at CNN. Please stop looking at MSNBC. Please stop looking at Fox. You know what I'm saying? Please stop listening to celebrities who have no fucking idea what the fuck they're talking about, telling you to go take something that nobody who's involved with trusts. Nobody who's involved with this shit trusts it. We posted a video. The chief scientist at the World Health Organization says there's not enough evidence to prove that the vaccine even does anything. We just posted a video. The chief scientist for the World Health Organization. Okay? These people, they're telling you not to trust. They're giving you every reason in the world not to trust it. Yet you've got lines and lines and droves of people going to get this. You're going to get it. And they're going to force you to get it because you're not going to be able to fly your planes. You're not going to be able to travel in your buses. You're not going to be able to go to work. You're not going to be able to go shopping. The list goes on. You're not going to be able to go to concerts, movie theaters, have any kind of fun unless you get this vaccine. Oh, and rest assured, that'll be coming this year. We're in 2021 now. Rest assured, that'll be coming this year. You will have to prove your vaccination or your immune status to do something that you want to do in 2021. You can mark my words right now. I'm saying it January 1st, 2021. You will have to prove that by the end of this year. If I'm wrong, I'll come back and say I'm wrong on January 1st, 2022. All right? But look, man, I just want to let y'all know, look, the research is easy. Okay? Just check it out for yourself. I gave you some nuggets here. Go expand. Go expound. Go look up what CRISPR stands for. Go expound on that. Go expound on the other gene modification technologies, because there's a lot more that Bill Gates is also funding. All right. But yeah, man, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if this helps you make your decision whether or not to go get the jab or not. Stay tuned for more good shit, because we got it here at the Contemporary Comrades podcast. It's your boy Heavy J, and I'm out. Peace.